Hi, I'm Mark from eReplacementParts.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to repair the starter on a chainsaw. Depending on what part failed on your saw, the rope may be sticking out of the saw, like on mine, or the rope may have broken and recoiled back into the saw. Regardless of which part failed, the first thing you need to do is remove the side cover. We'll start with that. And now I can pull the cover away from the saw. With the starter assembly removed, now I can move on to disassembling the starter. On my saw, there's a single Phillips screw that holds the starter together. Now I can remove the starter dogs. And in the case of my saw, there's a small spring. This acts as a soft start for the starter. I'll remove that. Next, I'll remove the rope from the starter pulley. Now I'll remove the starter pulley from the starter housing. I'll want to inspect these parts and find out what failed on my starter. It's common for the back side of the starter pulley where it meets the spring to break off. In that case, you'd need to replace the starter pulley. Sometimes the spring itself will break, usually about right here. If that's the case, then you'll replace the starter spring. Now we can go ahead and reassemble the starter. I'll start by replacing the starter pulley onto the starter spring and make sure that the pulley engaged against the spring. Now I need to rotate the pulley in the proper direction so that it recoils to pull the rope into the starter. Once you determine this direction, go ahead and coil the pulley about 4 or 5 complete turns. At this point, a word of caution. The starter spring is now under tension, which means you can't let go of this pulley. You have to be careful here because if the pulley gets away from you, there's sharp edges on the starter pulley that can cut you. Also, if you were to lift the starter pulley away from the housing at this point, the starter spring would explode out of the housing. So, while keeping tension on the pulley, I've lined up the hole in the starter pulley with the hole on the starter housing. Now I feed the rope through the starter housing and into the hole on the pulley. A pair of needle nose pliers makes it easy to thread the string through the pulley. Now you need to tie a knot in the string. It can be helpful at this point to have somebody to help you tie the knot. Now pull the rope so the knot comes back down into your starter pulley and tuck that away to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the other parts of the saw. Now on my saw, I replace the soft start spring. Again, your saw may or may not have this part. And the starter dogs. Last, the screw that holds the assembly together. With the screw securing everything, now I can slowly let the rope back into the starter. With the starter rebuilt, now I'll place it back onto the saw. And that's how easy it is to repair the starter on your chainsaw. This repair can easily save you $30 or $40 at a repair shop. If you found this video helpful, please feel free to leave a comment or ask us a question.